If you're confused about how to get started in tech or which specific aspect of it you should get into, then you're not alone. Tech can sometimes feel like a maze that you have to solve. And there's so many options that you have to choose from, which can be confusing. You'll hear people throwing around words like AI, web development, cybersecurity, data science, mobile applications. And due to all these things, it's pretty normal to feel overwhelmed. So by the end of this session, you'll know how to pick a starting point, understand the tech landscape and how it looks like, and also have some real steps and resources that can help you begin your journey of discovering what you want to do as far as tech is concerned. So, the first thing that you need to ask yourself what tech and programming are and what they actually mean. Find the interest that you are, there are a number of these topics that interest you, then develop the basics, build something small and connect with the community to help you in your journey, and decide whether to go deep or not once you've gone through all the foundational aspects of it. So to get us started, we need to ask ourselves, what is tech and what is programming? What do they actually mean? So tech in itself, you can refer to it as a giant world of careers because there's so much involved in it. You can talk about building software, building hardware, there's networking, there's cloud, there's design, data, cybersecurity. There's more to it than what you can just see here. Again, you'll see people doing reviews of gadgets online, and that is still part of tech. But in this context, I'm going to be talking about the aspects of tech that do relate to programming and building applications in general. So think of the mobile applications on your phone, the websites that you usually visit, the softwares that you use, for example, financial softwares that you use. You use things like Excel. There are all these softwares that we use on our day to day lives and they increase our productivity. Those are the ones I'm going to talk about. So there's a giant world of careers that you need to choose from, so that you sort of can be able to be laser focused on a specific aspect and be really good at it. Then we also have programming, which is the main thing here. So programming is just one powerful tool that is inside of tech. It's just part of tech, and it's one that enables us to build applications, build websites, build games, a lot of automations. There's a lot. Every piece of software that you use in your life, it be the microphone that I'm using right now, the screen that you have in your house, your TV, your laptop, your mobile phone, everything that you basically use that has some sort of software or some sort of smart technology in it. There's programming involved in building those applications at a certain aspect. So that is where programming comes in, and this is the part that exists a lot of people, right? So if you're building a business, you want to be able to, let's say, build a software for your business to help accelerate productivity, increase sales, if that is what you're into. There's so many aspects of this. Sometimes you just want to learn, right? So you don't have to build a strong career out of this really, but it is an essential skill that you need to know given where the world is going to. And it just helps you with your problem solving abilities, and even when you're interacting with people who are in tech, even within your own company, you sort of get an idea of what these people are talking about, and you can even contribute from your own point of view. So some of the most popular specializations are web development. Web development, it basically encompasses people who build websites that you use on a day-to-day basis. There is mobile application development. So these are the mobile apps that you have on your phone that you usually work with. There's cybersecurity. So this is the field that helps ensure that our interactions online are secure, and in case someone tries to breach our privacy and try to attack our application so that they have some sort of malicious intent, cybersecurity is one field that helps us try and control that. We have data science. We live in a world of data. Every aspect of what you do online is being monitored, and there's data that is being collected, and there's a profile that is being built on you by these companies. Think of a company like Google, a company like Facebook, Meta, all these companies. They are mining so much data about you, and this data is used in making decisions. Not only that, the business that you are running or the company you are working at, there's a lot of data that these businesses collect, and this data is eventually used to dictate the solutions and the decisions that the direction that these companies are going to go to. So in the field of data science, this is where you are taught, or where you're able to make sense of a lot of data. So think of it, even the simplest way to think about is the age of AI that we are in right now. So that is an aspect of data science because it's a lot of data that needs to be analyzed. So data science is quite an interesting one. This is a field where you find most people, especially who are in business, when they're trying to upskill in tech, most of them tend to go towards data science because they want to be able to make data driven decisions, and data science helps them achieve that goal. So in a nutshell, that is what data science is. And then we have game development. Game development makes sense. The games that we play on our mobile phones, on our TVs, on our screens, on everywhere, all these games, you can also build these games with programming. AI and machine learning. I've already mentioned this. This is part of a larger part of data science. And in AI, we talk about the large language models that we use on a day-to-day basis. We have ChatGPT, it's the most popular at the moment, but even Google has Gemini, which has been integrated into all the Google services that we use, from Google Calendar to Google Docs. You've seen this aspect of AIs that you use to help you do your tasks even easier. Then we have UI UX design. So this is for the creative mind, right? So not everyone wants to write code, not everyone wants to program all these things. Some people just want to build visually appealing applications or design those applications. So an example is what you can see, this slide that you can see on the screen here. This is an example of user UI UX design. So someone who has done this can be able to design these interfaces really well, the mobile applications, the websites that you use, all these things. The fact that they're visually appealing in what you use, in a number of the aspects of around it, those are the UI UX designers who design those kinds of experiences that you see there. So this is just a part of what this is. Just to mention, for data science, if that is what you're really into, and you're going to figure out if it's your thing by the time we finish this, we have a Python programming series that we're doing, and we're going to be diving into data science concepts, so, and machine learning later on. So you can just feel free to subscribe and join so that you can be able to be following what you're doing. Now, once you've sort of figured this out, one of the main things actually that you need to do before you proceed, in it, for you to try and figure out which specific specialization that you need to get into, there are a number of resources that can help you in that. The one that I recommend, number one, is CS50. CS50 is a course by Harvard, and it's an introduction to computer science course. It is available for free online, and you can go access it on YouTube. There's like the 2024 course is already there. You can go ahead and follow it. It teaches you all the foundations and fundamentals that you need to understand about computer science, and it introduces all these other aspects, mobile development, software development, web development, aspects of cybersecurity, AI, and a basic introduction into everything. And it gets to condition you to that mindset of to think as a computer scientist or someone who wants to get into tech. So it is a good way for you to get started. It will help you even make a decision. By the time you're finished, you'd have already made a decision on which field or what you want to really get into. Also, on top of that, we have Free Code Camp. Free Code Camp provides resources and career paths that you can follow. So you can also check them out. And of course, there's this channel. Now, apart from this, how do you find your interest in tech? So you need to reflect on a number of things when you're trying to find your interest in tech. So think of what you are into. For example, do you like making things look great visually? So you might consider getting into web design and user interface, UI UX design in general. Do you like solving puzzles or building logic? In that case, programming would be a good place for you to start. Are you curious about cybersecurity? Are you curious about hacking? I know a lot of people are curious about that. Then, in that case, you can get into a cybersecurity track. Are you fascinated by AI and how computers think? Right. So here you get into machine learning, but now for machine learning, of course, you have to build up from programming first, then get into data science, and then you can finally get into building machine learning models and the likes. Again, These are things that we're learning in our Python programming series, because we're doing from scratch all the way to introduction to machine learning. So please join that if you find value in it. Now, there's a mini activity that you can do to help you find your interest. And in this case, you need to ask yourself a number of questions, like you've seen. What excites you the most? Is it building? Is it protecting? Or is it analyzing? Once you figure out which excites you the most here, you can easily figure out which field to get into. So, for example, which of these sentences feel the most true to you? One, I love solving problems, right? In my case, for sure, I love solving problems. So you've already that already gives me an idea of what I want to get into. Programming and problem solving. This gets me into machine learning, all these likes. Then I love making beautiful things, right? If this is you, then building front end applications. That's the front facing up of applications and doing the designs. That is something that will make a lot more sense to you. This is what resonates to you the most. Then, lastly, I love organizing and protecting information. In this case, cybersecurity becomes a way for you to, I feel that you can easily try to explain, see whether you like it, because you'll be protecting people's information. And this is something that people will always need. People will always need the information to be protected. Again, fundamentally, the one thing that is common across all these, except for user UI UX design, which you might need an understanding of that a little bit, is programming. So you need to have a foundation in programming. This is where you can learn, like Python programming or JavaScript, many of these programming languages. Just check the channel, you'll find a number of these programming languages to learn, and a resource that can help you in getting a clear roadmap that is going to guide you on all these things, so that you learn in a structured manner, and that you don't steer away from what you need to learn, or even just struggle to find the right resources for you. We have this called roadmap.sh. So roadmap.sh has resources and roadmaps that can help you in your career, whether you want to do web development or UI UX, or you want to get into data science. It has clear roadmaps that you can learn from scratch to being competent in these skills. Now, once you have found your interest and you figured out what the interest is here, then you can now start learning the basics, right? So for you to learn the basics, regardless of the future path that you're going to follow, like I've mentioned, start with basic programming. It doesn't matter which path you're going to go to. It doesn't even matter whether you're going to pick up this as a career or not. But you need to start with basic programming, just the same way that we always started with learning math when we are starting school. So if you're a beginner, Python programming is the best first language for you to start with, because it is simple and it is powerful. So Python, all these large language models that you hear about, AI, automations, if you have smart devices in your house, you're connecting, for example, your Bluetooth devices like your speaker to, like Alexa, to your phone, to the lighting in your house, to your fridge, to your coffee maker, all these smart devices. Python programming is a language that is used in these kinds of automations. It is simple and it is powerful. And we're learning Python programming. I've mentioned this many times. Check it out. And this feels more of an advertisement, but I promise you, I'm just here to help you figure out what to do next. Also, if you're into websites, then you can now get started with the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These are the basic building blocks of the websites that you work with. So if you're into website, this is something you can do. Again, both of these are perfect for beginners. So you can pick either of the two. Actually, all of them should also just be fine for you to get started. Your starter pack for learning the basics is quite simple. You just need to install a code editor. This is where you'll be writing your code, and it will be helping you visually see everything and make sense of it. Visual Studio Code is one of these that you can use. So you can just Google what Visual Studio Code is and you can install it. We also have a video on how you can install Visual Studio Code in your machine. So check it out. You also need to learn to Google errors. So we always say something that differentiates a beginner from someone who is already experienced and a senior is that a senior knows how to Google errors. They've experienced them so many times, they already know what to do when they get the errors, or they know how to Google the errors. So you need to learn to Google errors. This is a superpower that you need. Once you figure out how to learn and how to Google errors, you're unstoppable. Write your first programming, or rather, or your first program. So write your first hello world in this specific language that you've chosen. That is just the basic way that we always start. Once you can be able to just print out something, then every other complex logic is going to be built up as you go. And you need a lot of patience when you're doing this, because you'll not get everything right the first time that you start. You're going to need a lot of practice for you to get better. The number of resources that you can use, like I've mentioned, start with CS50, go to Free Code Camp. There are many other resources that you can use online. Google, again, learn to Google errors and to Google everything. You're going to be better at this. Then once you've learned the basics and you already have a grasp of these fundamentals, then you can start building projects. Start by building something small. You don't have to go big at first, but start with something small, because building even a tiny thing makes learning real. Like, it doesn't have to be, the next Facebook. Just a tiny project helps you. For example, you can build a basic calculator that will help you learn a lot of skills. You can learn how to do operations with your programming language, the basic math operations. You can learn how to, how to code logic into your program, how to do the control flow. All these things you're going to learn them. You can build a website for your favorite movie, about your favorite movie. You can build a website for your pet if you have a favorite pet. Build a website for yourself, just to introduce yourself to other people, so that you don't always have to, tell people that check my Instagram. You can just send them a link to your website that has everything about you, like your portfolio. Then you can also build a simple to-do list applications. You can also be using this to manage your tasks on a single day, on a day-to-day basis. You can also analyze a small data set in Python, right? You're running a small business. You have some data that you're running, for example, in an Excel sheet. You can now use Python to analyze these data sets to help you find if there are some inconsistencies in the services that you are offering. For example, if there are gaps in your revenue, all these things, you can be able to notice them easily by analyzing in Python. So build your first Python project. You can just start simple. You don't have to go big, but start small, of course, and then you just build up. With time, you'll be at a position where you're able to build some really, really big projects, and you'll be surprised. Once you've done this, now you need to connect with a community, right? So remember, you can't do all these things alone. And even if you try to do them alone, you at some point you're going to reach sort of a cap in your learnings, and you need people who are going to push you. You need a community around you. Tech does not have to be lonely. So you need to find your tribe. And there are many ways that you can find people who are on the same level as you, or people who are experienced, that can give you advice and can just guide you along this journey. You can join a Discord server. You're going to find a lot of Discord server invites online. Free Code Camp has a great Discord server. Even we've started a Discord server. You can find the link in the description. You can go there and join people who are also have the same interest as you. Also, follow your favorite tech creators on YouTube and on Twitter and on Instagram, if there are any on TikTok. Follow tech creators. They're going to give you more tips, more resources. There is a community around them as well that you can also tap into for you to keep growing in your career. Also, attend local meetups and virtual events. If you're a university student, I'm 100% sure that there's a tech community in your university, in your college. Join those tech communities. This is where you find people who are going to help you in your career and in your learning journey. Also, you can go into join virtual events, right? So a lot of virtual events get organized. For example, virtual hackathons. You'll find this online. Even myself, I also do organize these virtual events every once in a while. So again, join the community so that you can get updated on some of these things. You need to connect with the community. Even just from the start, you're going to find a lot of people who are like-minded like you. So once you've done these foundational bits, then you need to now decide whether you want to go deeper into the specific aspect that you chose. And here is where, after you've made a few small wins, like, building applications and analyzing and designing things, then this is where you start asking yourself questions like, did you enjoy building these things, right? Was it hard but satisfying? Are you curious to learn more about these concepts? If you have a yes on all of these things, even just one or two, or you just want to explore even further, then don't waste any time. Like, go deeper, like, go for it. That way you're going to, tap into learning a lot of new things. And this is the exciting thing about tech. There's always something new to learn. You will never be at a position where you feel that you know everything, because the new technology is coming in. And if you're someone who loves building things, who loves learning, who loves solving hard problems, and just curious to learn more and more, this is the thing for you. And as a reminder on all of these things, just know that it is normal to struggle at first. You're going to struggle, that is guaranteed, but it is normal to struggle because you're tapping into a new skill. This is something that you haven't done before. You've not been doing it since you were born or something like that. So it is normal for these things to feel a little bit hard or overwhelming at first, but just know it is normal. So all you need to do is force yourself through it. You can also just, tap into why you got into this in the first place, what got you here, because motivation might die at some point. The only thing that is going to keep you going is the reason why you joined, the reason why you started learning these things. So it's normal to struggle, just always know that. And if you truly, truly hate coding, once you've done all these foundational aspects that we've mentioned, then maybe you need to explore another aspect of tech that does not involve coding. You can do UI UX design, like you mentioned, because you won't be writing any code in that. You can get into project management. We have a lot of project managers in tech who don't know how to write code, so you can also just be one of those. And there are many other areas that you can always explore that do not actually need to write coding if you really hate it. And there are many of these things that you need to also ask yourself, that are going to make a lot more sense to you, so that if you want to make it a super high impact, you can just basically say, or rather ask yourself things like, does everything I've done to this point make sense? Does it make sense, right? Then you can also just be tapping into who you are and what you're doing, and ask yourself whether anyone already has an idea into what they want to try, right? So these are questions that you ask in communities, right? Again, you can all just, if you have multiple personalities, just ask one of them. Okay, I'm joking, but yeah, you get the point here. You need to always question yourself at each point to just make sure that you're really, you're not losing yourself, or you're not staring off the first thing that you intended to do. And just to close this off, I hope you've been able to get some good value from this. But just a few things that I need to remind you is that you don't have to have it all figured out today, right? You don't have to have it all figured out today. This is something you can take from this and any other aspect. Learning programming is messy at first, and that is normal. You're going to struggle. You're going to, at some point, you might want to give up, but just know it is messy at first. But with time, it gets better once you start figuring your way around things. Most tech professionals once felt totally lost too, myself included. At first, when I was starting, I didn't know what I was doing, and it took me some time before I knew, or I started figuring things out. And so most tech professionals also struggled and felt lost at one point. The one thing that beats everything is consistency. It doesn't matter how talented you are or how you understand these things at first. The consistency is the one that is going to win at the end of the day. Consistency, making sure that you write code every day, not taking breaks. Once you take a week off or just a few days off, you don't write any code. When you come back, it always feels like you're starting from scratch. Things start to feel alien. So no breaks. Like, at most take a single day off or 2 days, but you need to be really consistent, especially when you're starting out, to a point where you feel more confident. And last but not least, take action. Taking action beats endless research, right? Like, for example, right now, don't go and start researching everything. How do I do this, how do I do this? Just start, do what you've just mentioned. Go look for the CS50 course and start doing it. Go look at the Python programming course that we have on our channel, start doing it. Do not go around circles, just start. And that way you live and understand, or rather know whether this is something you want to do even faster, without wasting a few weeks or a few months trying to research things that you should have just started with or started doing in the first place. So I do hope this was helpful. Just know that tech is for everyone. Whether you want to choose it as a career or not is entirely up to you, and it's also dependent on whether all these things, are things that you're going to like or not. But make sure that you try this out. And if you liked what I've mentioned throughout this, please leave a like, subscribe, share. Let's make sure that we destroy the algorithm so that this can reach as many people as possible. Okay, cheers.